You're welcome to Kunmi Exclusive, where sewing is simple, relatable, and straight to the point. Hi, my name is Kumi. I'll be showing you how to cut and sew this dress. It's a project I worked on last week, but before I did, I went to the page of the designer for some detailing. While I was there, I noticed several other creative ways the designer styled the dress, from the placement of the sequins to the cowl neck at the back of the dress to the mixture of fabric at the center front. My assignment is simple. I will be merging all of these creative ideas together to make a dress using a 4-year-old model. I will be using a child as my model because I do not want you to miss any part of the information I'm about to share. However, if I were to use an adult model, the dress is not only going to be long, it is going to be so wide that it will cover your screen. You will need this. It is called circuit sequence. You will also need this. In fact, I'm recommending this needle. Although often used for beading, this needle comes a lot handy in the making of this dress as we will be using it to attach the sequins to the dress. If you are to use a regular needle to attach the sequins, by the time you repeatedly pass the needle through the sequence, it's going to create a big hole which I think with the passage of time would eventually cut. The fabric used is called Mirror Mikado. It's shining and mildly strong, while this is called loose sequence. This is what I made for my client, although a lot bigger than this person. This is just my sister trying it out to show you what it looks like. I used a total of 4 yards for that part that didn't have cow neck at the back. This is the fabric I will be using for today's tutorial. Like I said, I will be incorporating all of those creative ideas you saw previously. I am coming down by 1 inch from the rough edge downward. You are conversant with this already. I'm going to connect with my ruler and this line becomes my starting point. The next thing I'm going to do is to mark my client's full length plus 1 inch sewing allowance. That's going to be for the hemming of the dress. Our full length is 37. Like you can see, I just added 1 inch to it for hemming. The next thing I will do is to locate a knee length. This is really optional. I will insert a shoulder measurement. Our shoulder is 11.5. I just inserted half of 11.5, and from that marking, I will place the length of our sleeve. The sleeve extends to the wrist. So I'm going to place the length plus 1 inch. I will be folding that as well. And from that point, I will come down by 1 inch. Can you see? If it were an adult, I would come down by 1.5. That dress you saw earlier, I came down by 1.5. At this point, I will decide on the wideness of the neck. I will be using 3 for my client. This dress has no zipper at the back, so I need a head to pass through with no stress. But for an adult, I used 3.5, 3.5. There is not going to be depth to the neckline yet, so I'm just going to leave it. The next thing I will do is to connect that shoulder slope to the neckline. Shoulder slope is that 1 inch I came down with, so I'm going to connect it to the neckline. The next thing I will do is to give it sewing allowance up here, and I'm going to connect together. The next thing I will do is to indicate the roundness of my client's sleeve. The roundness of our wrist is 7 inches, but I will exaggerate it and make it 10. Half of 10 is 5. I will add 0.5 to it. That gives me 5.5. That 0.5 is going to be for sewing allowance. For my adult client, our wrist is 8 inches, but I made it 13.5. I'm just trying to measure what I have all together at the upper part. I have 21.5, I'm going to check at that point where I marked the roundness of the sleeve, if that's what I have as well. Yeah, so that's what I have. I'm just going to connect it upward. Having done this, I'm going to decide how big I want the dress to be on her body. To that effect, I'm going to divide her hip by 4 and add 2 inches. Her hip is 28.5 divided by 4 plus 2 gives me 9.1. I'm going to approximate to 9.5, so I'll be marking 9.5 inches. I'll come over to the knee length and mark 9.5 inches. At this point, I realized I need the hip line. I can't know the hip line if I do not know the half length, which is also called the waistline. So our waistline is 11. I just marked 11. So our hip line is 5 inches away from our half length. So I'll come over to this side as well and mark 11 inches, which is our waistline. Waistline is also called half length. And then 5 inches away from the waistline is our hip line. I'm going to connect the markings together. Especially for this dress, I just need the hip and the full length. I'm going to simply extend this line. I will mark 9.5 inches and connect it to the knee length. Next, I will decide where I want the draping to stop. I think I'm just going to use between 2 and 2.5. Let's just use 2.5 inches. Come in here by, at that sleeve opening, I will come in by 1 inch and I'm going to connect this. That 1 inch is to fold the roundness of the sleeve. If you don't do it, you are going to experience a little bit of difficulty when it's time to fold the hem of your sleeve. Come in by 1 inch and curve it like this. If the allowance you give the hemming of your sleeve is 1.5, come in by 1.5. Whatever allowance you give the hemming of your sleeve, that's what you will come in by. Now we are going to cut. This is what we have. I hope you understand what I'm doing. Secure your fabric with pin. This is very important. I will use this to cut a pattern. This piece is going to be for the back, and it's going to have a cow neck. For an adult, the least that I use is 10 inches, but because she's just a child, I will just use 7 inches. I do not also want it to be revealing, so I think I'll just use 7 inches. I will place my tape like this and mark 7 inches. Can you see? Like I said, the least I go for is if it's an adult is 10 inches. Sometimes I go as far as 12, I go as far as 13, depends. So I use the front piece to cut a pattern. And I'm just trying to transfer the markings to the pattern. This is just a piece of fabric left from my previous project. I'll connect it. This is the only marking I need. I'll connect it, and don't forget this is 7 inches. So I'll place my pattern on it like this, and I'm going to slash this open. Can you see? I have about 1/4 of an inch left, and I'm going to spread a little bit of spreading, and I have secured with my pin, yeah. And then we cut. You're going to cut straight up here. I think I'm going to need to reposition this. Going to need to reposition and pin it again. This upper part, I'm going to cut straight like I said earlier. Come up here, and then, yeah, so this is what I have. Do well to indicate the right and the wrong side of your fabric if your fabric has one. Please don't forget. Come in here by 1 inch. Come in here by 1 inch if you have a short ruler. If your ruler can reach to the end, why not? Mine is a little short, that's why I'm marking in bits. Mark 1 inch here. So I marked to the neckline. For an adult, I come down by 12 inches, but because she's a child, I came down by 8 inches after much deliberation. So some people connect like this, and then they don't mark 1 inch that we just marked. They just connect like this and slit it open straight down. I won't be doing that. It's going to make the dress bigger on my client's body. I need her to be able to still carry herself well, so I don't want it too big on her body. So this is the method I will be using. I'm going to extend the 8 inches to that 1 inch marking, and I'm just going to give it a slight curve like this. If you want your dress really big, you're just going to cut it slanted, and you are going to split this place open straight down. But I will use the second marking, follow the slight curve, which is what the actual style we are trying to imitate also adopted. We are going to follow it straight down like this. Indicate the right and the wrong side of your fabric. Don't forget. This is the back piece. The right side is upward. I'm placing the right side of the back piece together with the right side. Like the right side of the back piece is facing the right side of the front piece. And I'm going to ensure they align, and then I will secure with my pin, shoulder to shoulder, side to side. When I'm done with this, I'm going to stitch with 0.5 inch sewing allowance. Leave this place open, that's the sleeve opening. Then you stitch with 0.5 inch all the way to the end. I've stitched and overlocked, as you can see. I've stitched and overlocked. I overlocked with black thread so you can see it. The next thing I will do is to fold with that 1 inch. I'm going to fold the hem of the sleeve. You can see it's easy. If we didn't leave that 1 inch behind it, we are not going to find it funny. This is what it looks like. I have stitched the hem of the sleeve, and this is what I have. I did the same for the other side. The next thing is to measure from the hem of the dress, of the front piece, measure to the shoulder. What I have is 36.5. If your tape is beyond 60, if it's up to like 120, you can place 36 on the second shoulder and measure downward. But if you want to save yourself the stress, since we know both sides are equal, just multiply 36.5 by 2. So if you do that, you will have 73. I want the collar to be 1.5 inch wide, and I want it on fold. When folded, it's going to be 3 inches. I need 0.5 inch on both sides to attach it to the main dress. So I'm going to be cutting 4 inches. I'm going to be cutting a fabric, or should I say a strip that is 4 inches wide. I will connect together with my ruler and trim it out. So I've cut 2 pieces, as you can see. The next thing I will do is to measure what I have here. So I have 46, but I will remove 2 inches from it. That means I have 44. 1 inch is going to be for the hemming of the dress. I'm going to fold the dress. The other 1 inch, eventually I'm going to fold this strip into two. So I'm going to need half inch on both ends to attach it to this patterned one, this patterned fabric. So I'm just going to say 44 minus 73. So the answer that I have is going to be the length of this patterned one. 44 minus 73 gives me 29, plus 1 inch gives me 30. So the length of this pattern is 30 inches. Remember it's on fold, so that's 15 on both on that's 15 inches. I just marked 15 inches downward. By the time you straighten it, you are going to have 30. At this point, do well to iron your cotton stay. I won't be ironing cotton stay. I'm just using this for tutorial. When you are done, put your pattern one together like this. What I'm saying is that you stitch with 0.5 inch all the way, and then you stop at the shoulder. Do you understand? But here comes my recommendation. um I will in fact strongly recommend that you start your stitching from the shoulder downward. Don't stitch from the hem all the way to your shoulder. Start from your shoulder and stitch downward, just the way I'm showing you, and then this is the right way to fold it. So I'm stitching from the shoulder and I'm stitching downward. Why I recommended is this is because there are times when your fabric just goes longer a little. You don't want it going longer at your shoulder region. It's better it goes longer at the hem of the dress, and then you know how best to tackle it, whether to trim it or not. So my stitching basically starts from here. This is the shoulder. Can you see the joining? All the way to the hem of the dress. I hope you understand. So put the back piece together. Can you see? Put the back piece together with the collar like this. We are going to give this region a notch. I hope you understand what I'm saying. This way I'm holding three pieces. The back cowl and the collar, which is folded into two. So I've given it a notch. I'll come to the other side and give it a notch as well. Don't come too far from the shoulder joining. Just come about, say, not even up to 1/4 of an inch. Just don't cut directly on top of the stitching. You understand? So go ahead and overlock. I'm going to overlock. And when I'm done overlocking, this is the collar. I hope I'm not confusing you. So fold it like this with about 1/2 inch. Fold on both sides and then overlay them like this and stitch carefully and as neatly as you can. Stitch from here all the way to the other side. And when I'm done with that, I'm going to overlock this region. I feel like I'm dishing out too many informations at a time. I'm just going to overlock first. I have overlocked, like I said. I'll proceed to the collar and fold like I said earlier. I will fold in by 0.5 inch on both sides. From this starting point to the end, and I'm going to stitch as neatly as possible. I have stitched like I said. I have equally overlocked the edges of the cowl parts of the neckline. You either fold it like this and stitch a little at the upper part or roll it in. Please don't be tempted to use hemming gum at this point because after one or two washing, it's going to open up and even ironing will not be able to save it. My best option will be to roll it in twice and stitch. That way you won't even need to overlock. This is the collar which I earlier stitched, and of course I have stitched the cowl region of the neckline. Can you see? It's so neat. My fabric is stretchy. That's why this region is not well rested. So this is a cue from me to you not to use a stretchy fabric for this project. If you're not going to use um Miro Mikado, please avoid stretchy fabrics. We are left with just two things, guys, which is the hemming of the dress and the drapings. I will get my model to try it on while I drape it on her body. If your client or model is not within your reach, kindly get someone who shares a similar body measurement with your model. while you drape it on their body. Occasionally, you are going to need them to raise their hands to be sure you've not held too much. And like I said, if you will be making this for an adult, you will need about 4.5 yards um, of this fabric, 2 yards of the one in front, 2.5 of the design you would like to put at the back. Although my client didn't want cow neck at the back, I was able to persuade her. The only thing that stopped me from putting cow at the back was that the fabric eventually was not enough. She got it, she brought the fabric, so it was not enough. While I was making my client's dress, after cutting out the front, when I placed the pattern on it to get the cow part of the neckline, I had just 4 inches left, and the least I can go for is 10 inches. So I would suggest that if you would be making for an adult and you want it to have the cow effect at the back, you should get 2.5 yards for the fabric you would like to be at the back, while you get 2 inches for the fabric you would put in front. You will notice that my sister at intervals was raising her hands up. This is so my client won't experience difficulty when she needs to stretch her hands or raise them up. So this is what it looks like. Thanks for watching. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. If you have any question or suggestion, drop them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Till I come your way in my next tutorial. Bye for now.